Welcome. You're listening to Coffee Break with Purdue Engineering, a podcast production from the Office of Future Engineers at Purdue University. In this podcast series, we discuss the many programs, majors, and opportunities found in Purdue Engineering through conversational interviews with staff, faculty, alumni, and current students. We hope you enjoy our show and it helps answer some of your questions about what it's like to be an engineering student at Purdue. Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode where we're going to be discussing Purdue's biological engineering or BioE major. I'm one of your hosts, Calvin Given, a current graduate student in electrical and computer engineering from Lakewood, Colorado.
And my name is Bryan and Calvin. I'm a current sophomore in electrical engineering as well from Miami, Florida. And some different things I'm involved with on campus are I'm a part of the Minority in Engineering program, the National Society of Black Engineers, and I'm a part of Greek Life. I'm a part of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. And this week we were joined by Molly Geiger.
Hi, I'm Molly Geiger. I'm a senior in biological engineering. One of my main involvements is Engineering Without Borders at Purdue, where I'm on the Louisiana Health Solutions team. I'm from Cherubusco, Indiana, which is a small town outside of Fort Wayne. It's a small little farming community. So with that, I grew up doing 4-H. I showed cows for 10 years. And I also am very involved with golfing.
Awesome. Isn't your town also called Turtletown, USA?
Yes, it is. There's a legend of a turtle the size of a Volkswagen Bug.
Wow.
That was never actually found.
That's how legends usually go, isn't it?
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite things about growing up in Turtletown? And what are some of your hobbies outside of school?
Yeah, so Turtletown, every year there's a festival called Turtle Days, and one of the main activities is turtle racing. So you just let go of a turtle at the beginning of a start line. Just hopefully it moves in the right direction and crosses the finish line.
How long do these races last?
Not very long. It's not a very long distance. They're not traveling a mile.
Did you like buy your own turtle for it?
No, you just go out and find one in a field. Since it's a very rural area, there's turtles just around the water areas. Just find your own turtle and then just release it back into the wild when you're done with it.
That sounds like a ton of fun.
That's beautiful.
And then what do you like to do either around here or back home for fun? I know you mentioned 4-H. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I also like to golf in my free time. And I also just like to be outside working out and spending time with friends and family.
Awesome.
How did you pick up golf?
It was just a random sport going into freshman year of high school. I'm like, I want to do a different sport other than running. And I came across golf and I fell in love with it after a year of very much struggling with it.
Takes a while to get good at. I'm not very good at it, and I've been doing it on and off for a while now.
I'm on the same boat as you, Calvin.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Very amateur golfers. So what was your journey like getting to Purdue? I know you were in state. Was Purdue just kind of the backyard school that you applied to for the heck of it, or why'd you apply to Purdue?
Yeah, so I am a legacy. So both my parents and my older brother both came to Purdue. So it was always in the back of my mind about coming to Purdue. But it was also, I had other opportunities to play sport at like a smaller school, so I really considered that. But when it came down to it, after getting accepted into Purdue Engineering, I knew it was going to be the right place for me with the highly ranked engineering program, the wide amount of opportunities with Purdue Engineering. I knew it was the right place for me to get a good degree and get a good education out of college.
Yeah, awesome. I had a similar experience. I couldn't have gone to school anywhere for running, but I came here because of Purdue's prestige in the community that I felt like I could really ingrain myself into and could see myself being here for 4 years.
Yeah, same here. Not much to add to that. Yeah, could you kind of briefly describe BioE for us and like different concentrations and different things you can get involved with in the major?
Yeah, so biological engineering, like the name suggests, it's pretty much applying engineering principles to biological systems. It's more like the living aspects. That can be including like environmental, like plants, whether that's pharmaceuticals or even food applications, doing food processing. So there's 4 concentrations within biological engineering. There's food and biological processing. There's cellular and biomolecular engineering, which is a concentration I'm in. There's pharmaceutical processing, and there's bioenvironmental as a concentration. So it covers all aspects of the biological engineering. And then you can get involved with, there's ASABE, which is the American Society of Agriculture and Biological Engineers, which is a professional society to get that experience. There's a lot of research opportunities as well with all of our different professors. And yeah.
All right, awesome. That's amazing to hear. Sounds like we've got a lot to go into for the rest of the episode. I guess what can you do with some of the degrees? Some of those more specific applications that might add a little more tangibility to everything you just said.
Yeah. So focusing on like the food processing, so you can go into like doing food production, whether that's doing the research and development for a food company and actually developing new food products, or working on the plant floor doing the engineering math problems and really trying to optimize and make the process more efficient. The pharmaceuticals, you can go once again into the research and development, or doing like the testing of the pharmaceuticals. And even going into grad school and medical school is even an option outside of biological engineering.
Oh. And what was your concentration again?
I'm in cellular and biomolecular.
And like, what kind of led you into that and getting into that?
I wanted more of like the lab and more focused on getting those lab skills. So that's why I kind of led into the cellular and biomolecular, because that's what I'm most interested in, is like the life science aspect of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then what made you decide on biological engineering in the first place? Did you know you wanted to do bio-E coming in? And I guess how'd first-year engineering help you make that decision, or how did you make that decision?
Yeah, so coming to Purdue, I actually never even heard of biological engineering until first year. I initially came to Purdue thinking I was going to do biomedical. So going to those information sessions freshman year, I chose biological randomly, and I ended up realizing it's more of what I wanted, more of like a lab-based engineering. Compared to, for me personally, biomedical engineering wasn't for me. I didn't want the coding technology aspect of it, so that's why I went away from biomedical and went to the biological to get those lab skills, but still be able to apply those engineering principles and get my math side of loving math as well.
Yeah, I would definitely say first-year engineering helped me figure out I wanted to be an electrical engineer. For me, I think for me personally, it was the engineering your major sessions and like the EPICS program, working with different students from different majors and getting to see how they thought and why they chose their major.
Yeah, and I know a lot of students will come in and ask kind of what's the difference between biomedical and biological engineering. Do you have a good answer for that?
I guess my answer would be more, biomedical is more of like the delivery and more like the more typical like prosthetics and technology aspects. Whether biological, like on the pharmaceutical side, we're actually making the drugs themselves, where biomedical would be the ones doing the delivery of how those drugs are actually going to the body. So that's kind of the big comparison I have between biomedical and biological.
Yeah, that's really cool. That sounds like a very good distinction between the two.
Makes sense. And what are some of your favorite courses you've kind of taken and why?
Yeah, so back to my lab side, I really enjoyed the classes in biological engineering that I have at the lab. One of my favorites being ABE 226, which is our biotechnology course, lab number 1, where you actually get to go out, grab a soil sample, and discover your own bacteriophage and name it yourself.
Oh, wow.
So with that, you get to do all the DNA extraction of it. So you do it your sophomore year typically, so you get a lot of that lab experience.
Yeah.
And then your next semester, AB 327, you actually get to learn the genomic profile of that bacteriophage. So you get to do all the bioinformatics, which is very interesting. And with that, you also gain a lot of those skills, of those technology skills that you don't typically learn in other classes within ABE.
Yeah, what was your bacteriophage called? I know there was one called the Wabash rash.
Mm-hmm. Mine was actually named by a different group because we didn't end up finding our own. So we adopted a bacteriophage, so we did all the genomic profiling on it. But ours was called Bush Baby. It was found outside of a bush outside the buildings on campus.
That's great.
That's fun.
That's such unique names. I know there was one called Purdue Pete as well.
Purdue Pete's one of the more famous ones.
Are there any other lab courses or courses that you've taken that you've really enjoyed?
Yeah, it might sound a little. I really enjoyed ABE 201, which is our mass material and energy balances, which is also a sophomore year class, because it's really building the foundation of engineering, because it's very similar to thermodynamics. But the lab part of that course, you get to make your own food product, and actually do the nutrition label and do all the research on that. And you actually, at the end of the semester, get to go into a food safe lab and make and try the product to see if it's actually edible of what you've been creating the whole semester.
Yeah.
And with that kind of leads us to our senior design project. You get to create your own product. So it's a very good transition from your sophomore year first semester to your senior year. You really get to build and make new products that apply all of our engineering skills and lab skills together.
So I think you know my next question. What was your food product in your sophomore year?
Oh, was it edible?
Yeah, and did it taste good?
Kind of edible. It was a mango choco bite. So it was mango, chocolate, and oatmeal. So trying to get different, not typical ingredients that go together.
That sounds good.
But it ended up kind of working in the end.
Yeah. Are there any lab courses that you take junior year? And I know you have senior design senior year, obviously, as the name would imply.
Yeah, there's a lab. It's called just biological laboratory engineering. Your second semester junior year, where you get to learn different processes that are used in the actual industry. So you get to do a lab on mixing, a lab on flow rates. So really things you'll use in industry, but using them on looking at them in a lab scale, but also being able to scale them up and seeing how they can actually be used in industry.
I know you kind of talked about senior design. Are you taking senior design right now?
Yes.
How is that going, and how's that been?
Yeah, it's been good. My team is developing a passion fruit oil extract sunscreen.
Oh my gosh, that sounds.
Wow.
Oh, I don't know why, but it sounds like it tastes good, even though it's
It
sunscreen.
smells-
I don't think you want to eat that, Brian.
But passion fruit, like when I hear passion fruit, I just think
It
of
smells very good
just-
when we're making it.
I bet it smells
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. So that's been fun. Trying to really develop and adjust like the ratios of the ingredients. It's a very simple process. Might not sound like it, but it's a very simple process. It's really just trying to knock it down, the basics of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then are there any professors that you've really enjoyed through the 3 years that you've been in biological engineering?
Yeah. Specifically, Dr. Engelberth. That's not her name anymore. I don't know her maiden name.
That's okay.
Dr. Clace in the biotechnology lab, she's been very helpful. I actually did research for her on one semester. We actually did the background work for the biotechnology lab, so I was making all the media behind the scenes for the students. So that was a good way to get research, get experience on more of the lab skills that you don't see in class of like just performing in them. Actually being able to make the media behind the scenes was also very important skills as well.
And then kind of more on that research, how was that opportunity and how did you kind of get involved with that? Was it just like cold emailing or do after class?
It was more like the after class, whoever took the class previously, they brought back.
Oh, okay.
But I did do the cold emailing process to get research in the chemical engineering department.
Okay.
So one semester I did research in the chemical engineering department where I worked with the professor on drying of biopharmaceuticals to really make sure the active ingredients were evenly spread out across like the pharmaceuticals themselves. So that was very interesting. I got that by just cold emailing professors, be like, hey, I saw your research online, and I ended up with that one.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's how I got both of my research opportunities as well. And there's lots of professors doing so much research. And as you showed, it's really easy to get involved in research that's not necessarily in your specific major either, just because there are so many opportunities and so much of the research is inter and multidisciplinary, where they need people from all over the different engineering spectrum and just even the general like college major spectrum to help with those research opportunities. So if you're looking to get into research, it's really easy to do, even if you're not going through some of those formal processes like our engineering undergraduate research office, which has SURF, which is a summer research program, or DURI, which is one for during the semester research if you're a first-time researcher. And did you do that research for credit, for pay, both?
They were both for credit.
And did that credit help you with your degree, or was it just for the fun of it?
It was kind of just for the fun of it, getting the experience of doing research. With both of them being more of the lab side, it was very interesting seeing like the different sides of it. But they were both for credit.
Okay, awesome. I know in electrical engineering, at least, if you're even doing that research for credit, it does actually help towards your degree. Guess that varies major to major, but either way, the research is a great way to get that hands-on lab experience that you might not otherwise get for some of those more niche topics.
Yeah.
But yeah, my next question is, have you had any internships with BioE? How did you get them, and what did you do at them?
So starting off this summer after my sophomore year, I was an intern at Red Gold Tomatoes in Elwood, Indiana, where I did quality assurance. So with that, I actually got that through the Industrial Roundtable, the largest student-run career fair in the fall. And there I created a standard of procedure, or a SOP, for the thermal death of some microorganisms in the ketchup process. So I was really like I got to go to the plant and like really look at the ketchup process itself and how it's made, then bring it back and like look at the numbers as well and create that SOP. And I also did some analysis on staying within specifications of some of the limits of doing industrial processing. And then after my junior year this past summer, I worked at Elanco Animal Health as a quality control intern in Winslow, Maine. And I got that through just going to an information session junior year. Wasn't even through industrial roundtable. I'm just talking to some of the recruiters there. And this summer, I worked on creating a control for one of the testings done in the lab. Up there at the plant, it is poultry vaccines being made.
Okay.
So I got to work with a lot of those kind of vaccines and seeing a different side of pharmaceuticals.
Okay.
And I also got to gain a lot of different lab experience working in the lab. Even if I couldn't actually do it myself with the lab technicians, they would let me do practices right beside them. So I learned a lot of lab skills there as well.
That's awesome. I have a funny question. Like, did you get a lot of ketchup? Did they give you free ketchup or anything?
I got a little bit free. I could have got more, but after seeing how it's, like, not seeing how it's made, but, like, just being in the plant and smelling it sometimes, it wasn't the best smell.
It's like working at McDonald's. You don't want to really eat McDonald's after that because you're around it just so much.
Yeah.
And so we talked about research some. Are there any clubs? I know you mentioned ASABE. Do you want to talk about that a little bit more? Or any other biological engineering-oriented clubs that you've enjoyed or know about?
Yeah. So ASABE is one of the bigger ones within biological engineering where you get to do a lot of professional activities, and whether that's going to tour different companies in the area or having, like, workshops on how to develop a resume. But there's also ABE ambassadors, which is a good way to get involved with underclassmen and really give presentations to get people more into biological engineering and give those tours to incoming people.
Super cool. And then were you in any other clubs while you were here at Purdue? Which ones were you in?
Yeah, so I was previously in Engineering World Health, which has now been dissolved into Engineering Without Borders, the Louisiana healthcare team. But with that, as Engineering World Health, I was the president, so we did a lot of research where we worked with different underdeveloped areas in the world and tried to create new projects that could help them. Last year, we were trying to build a water system to be able to make cleaner water in the area. And I've also been involved with Charge, which is a women's workout group, where you go to different areas or different workout areas around Lafayette and try different workouts and be able to create that community of girls or anyone to really get that community around Purdue.
That's awesome. And how did you kind of get involved with Engineering Without Borders?
One of my friends, it was technically a club in biomedical engineering, but I was just talking to some of my friends, and I realized it was something I wanted to do because it was like helping people directly and getting into contact with those people. So I kind of got into that by talking to people, which is I would recommend talk to people what other clubs they're in. Maybe you'll find something that interests you that you never even heard of before.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So I know you're super busy with clubs and research and coursework. Do you still have time to be a person outside of being a student?
Yeah, for sure. I still have time. I still go to the driving range to go practice golfing. I still have time to work out, but I still have time to spend time with friends. Almost not every day, but like almost every other day, I have time to hang out with my roommates for a couple hours. So really, like managing time well will give you opportunities to do things outside of engineering at Purdue.
That's awesome. Do you go to like different basketball games or like sporting events here?
I had both the paint crew for basketball games and tickets to all the football games. So I went to every single football and basketball game in the past year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's a crazy feat.
Do it, Brian. If you can, it's well worth it. It's so much fun, all the sporting events. And sounds like you've got a really good work-life balance here, which is awesome. Are there any recommendations you have for attaining that or maintaining that while you're at college?
I think the main thing is asking help when you first need it. I'm really trying to get ahead on your work, whether that means going to professor's office hours to get ahead. Really helps me maintain that work life, so I'm not procrastinating, doing things very last minute. So it's not stressful. I'm trying to get ahead, really provide benefit to that work-life balance.
And then what about like the greater Lafayette area? Do you ever go down there or like, what do you do outside of like West Lafayette?
I sometimes go to some restaurants down in Lafayette. I don't do much outside, but I go to Indy sometimes, even though that's not always feasible. But going to Indy sometimes to get a little bit away from campus. But there's many things to do, whether just attending those sporting events and finding things in the area.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Is there anything you like in the Lafayette area that you want to touch on, Brian?
Yeah, they have a few cool things I like. They have this one thing. It's a candle making place. That was really cool. I really like doing that.
They've actually got 2 of them downtown.
Yeah, I think I went to the one that was called Rosenwick.
Oh, that's the one I went to last semester.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Yeah, I really like that. They have some good food places down there. their names, I couldn't tell you. They were just really good. One of them was about like nachos. No, it was like nom noms.
Oh, Nom Noms,
Yeah,
tacos
yeah.
and tequila.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that was
Nom
really good.
Noms has got great tacos. East End Grill is great, like
Yeah.
new American cuisine.
Yeah.
And then you've also just got a ton of restaurants down there, whether it's La Scala or
Ripple and Company. is
Yep,
down
Ripple
there.
and Company. That's the one I was looking for. You read my mind, Molly. But yeah, tons of things to do in Lafayette, and it's honestly really walkable to get there, or you can just take the short bus ride that Purdue offers to get over there.
And in weather like this, I feel like you only can walk. There's no
Yeah.
there's no reason to take the bus.
Uh-huh. And so I guess we had we have a couple more questions, but this one kind of wraps up our discussion of biological engineering. How has it really satisfied your love for the major, having gone through the 3 years of it, and how do you feel like it's prepared you for your future, wherever direction you're taking that?
Yeah. So like going from the beginning, not choosing biomedical engineering because I wanted more of the lab aspect. I think biological engineering has really fulfilled that with having a lab course every year and being able to actually go in the lab and see what I'm learning in class and apply it. So that as well, but also learning all the basic engineering principles, whether it's the thermodynamics, fluids. Even though the courses have been challenging, knowing how to apply these in the industry is very important. And it's been very fulfilling to be able to see what I was doing in internships, be able to actually apply what I was learning in classes. So I think really knowing about biological engineering was not knowing until freshman year. It's really done everything I've wanted it to be, especially with all the lab courses.
That's amazing. And then kind of touching about senior design again, like how do you think that's kind of helped you, and do you think it's kind of like wrapped everything you've learned up until now?
Yeah, so like within it, you have to be able to, even though you're making it at the small lab scale, you have to do all the work on how this would scale up in an actual industry and how actual plant work would look like.
Yeah.
So really applying all the principles of like how a mixer works in industry and seeing all those numbers and equations that I've learned in the past years come back, and this one has been very interesting seeing everything come together.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What's your next step? What's the next thing like for you, or looking like after graduation, and has being in the program helped you with that?
Yeah, so I'm going to be going to Indianapolis at Heartland Food Products as a production engineer in thermal processing. So although it's not exactly lab-based, it's going to use all the skills I've learned in biological engineering, all those equations, all the math, and really apply it to an actual process on the production line and really see how everything comes together.
And how did you kind of find this role?
This was also from Industrial Roundtable.
Awesome.
It's just walking up, talking to them, and created that good relationship.
Yeah, it sounds like you've gotten a ton of great experiences here. I'm sure it's a little bittersweet for it to all come to an end.
Yeah, well, and thank you so much, Molly. We really enjoyed having you on the podcast today, and this will be our final question for you. But what is one piece of advice you think you could give to an incoming student looking at Purdue Engineering?
I think my one piece of advice would always to get involved and ask that help. Use Purdue's resources. One of the main ones is attending professors' office hours. Even though it might sound daunting, they're there to help you, and creating that one-on-one relationship will be very beneficial overall.
Professors aren't as scary as they seem. They're people too.
And they may be able to help you in the future too. So
Yeah.
that network.
You can get them to write letters of recommendation. They can help you just try to make a decision on grad school versus sticking around or going directly into industry. And so they can be great resources because a lot of them have worked in industry before, and so they've had both sides of that coin. If that's a question that you're asking, at least I was asking it. That's why it comes to my mind specifically. But yeah, I suppose that concludes this week's episode. As always, please reach out to the Office of Future Engineers if you have any other questions.
Yeah, and we will see you guys next week.